will, I dare say, be the most powerful one, because it's coming from a very powerful man who's as humble as he is powerful, Air Chief Marshal Sohail Aman, who was the Chief of Air Staff of the Pakistan Air Force from 2015 to 2018. He's credited with the orchestration and actualization of the Air Force's modernization plan. He's a true believer in education for all, and not only did he introduce several scholarship schemes for deserving children during his tenure as CAS, but he also established 2 medical colleges and 3 campuses of the Air University across the country. What is special about his initiatives is that he pioneered welfare initiatives for persons with special needs. Air Chief Marshal Sohail Aman has several awards to his credit, including the Nishan-e-Imtiaz Military, Hilal-e-Imtiaz Military, Sitara-e-Imtiaz Military, and Tamgha-e-Imtiaz Military. He is also a recipient of the Legion of Merit of the Turkish Armed Forces. He's also been awarded the King Abdulaziz Medal of Excellence by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the United States Legion of Merit, which is the highest military award of US Armed Forces awarded to any foreign military official. So, Sir Sohail Aman, the stage is all yours.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, respected audience, the foreign delegates who are here, and a lot of people online. Assalamu alaikum, very good afternoon. Thank you for a very flattering and inflated introduction. Honestly, I believe I did the job to the best of my ability with sincerity. And this country is so beautiful that every bit of time, energy, and even if life, it's all worth it. So, and I'm so very delighted to welcome a large number of audience here. And what is important is that your presence here is a clear indicative of your desire and your spirit to take this country a step forward. And our delegates who have come in from all over the globe, thank you so much. We're really very grateful that you came here, your meetings with us and with the government and everything. Sorry, we put you in a bit of spin in these 2-3 days, but it's been wonderful having you all with us, and thank you so much. What I believe is that these segments have been going on, the Future Summit, the Leader in Islamabad, and today, I, as an elder at the Nutshell, feel extremely content and satisfied because a lot of echoes have started to come in from the public sector, private sector, the government, everybody saying few things that I'll probably reiterate. They're all coming on one. And of course, we are not the only one. There are a lot of efforts which go in, but that's a small contribution that we make from our side. While you may be wondering, looking at the programs, that there are 2 federal ministers and the senators who are supposed to come and address, and they're not here, but each one of them handed over 20 pages to me. And do you want me to read those out? And of course not. All right. That being on the lighter side, they're both extremely committed, and they're outstation, and they asked specifically me to consider and render their apology. But those have been actually very good addition. And one more thing. Today, a man who planted this sapling 21 years ago, I'm sure that he's seen this grow, glow, and I'm talking of Muhammad Asfar Hassan. And for today, I'm not saying that he'll be very happy or something, because the journey is not ended. The journey is begun for the Nutshell. But I'm sure that he must be content to see this grow to the national level, and of course now to the international partners. Asfar, you have been able to create not only an organization, but an institute with particular culture, with values, and complete commitment to Pakistan and the international community. Thank you so much for doing this. What we've done in the last, and please bear with me because I'll come out with very heartfelt comments that I have. I think what we have done in the last 2 days is threadbare, analyze, and say what needs to be done. And that's not bad. And that's not either to take any negative feelings from this hall. The best reward that I got was yesterday. The university students sitting here, they got hold of me in the tea area, and they said, "Sir, looking at the social media, it is such a depressing situation that was going on. And when we come here, we realize that there is so much of hope. The country has that much of potential. There are foreign delegates who are here now intending to invest. There are ministers who have decided not to work gratis." And I think that's a fantastic thing to do, that leave your profession, come in and lead with all that vigor and spirit. And I think the time, within a month and a half, the results have started to show. So I think that hope in the youth that has been created by the leader in Islamabad, I take that as the biggest virtue that I am going to take from here. All right. And this reminds me of 2007, then when we were in London and we were doing the course at the Royal College. And ladies and gentlemen, what they had done was, we were about 87 people. They distributed us into different groups and sent it all across UK. And we were supposed to make observations looking at the police, the judiciary, the public offices, the private sector. And I was wondering, I was young at that time and I didn't understand. I said, why do they want us to criticize? And when we came back, we had the back seats completely with the House of Commons, House of Lords, the top politicians. They all sat and listened to us. And we will all compare it with the systems, we'll all give our inputs. They quietly listened to it. And I think that's what exactly the nutshell has done in the last 2 days. And of course, the effort that we are doing, bring out things. Unless you speak truth to yourself, unless you know what are the problems, you can't fix them. So what you have heard here is a complete mix of hope, opportunity, and the way forward. And we as a country have lived through. I mean, look at give me example of one country which has gone through such a big spell of the terrorism. We got one of our arch adversary on one side, which keeps us involved into the armed race. We're a peace-loving country, and no offensive designs are ever there. But then the best defense is to remain prepared, and that is where a lot of chunk of our budget goes. Now, that's a constraint that we have to understand. And I'm here to give you a statistic about the State Bank of Pakistan and not of any think tank. In the war on terror, for 20 years, this country lost $110 billion, let alone the 60,000 of the civilians who lost their lives and 6,000 of soldiers who absolutely courageously fought for this country. Where else is that example? And I think today morning when Mustafa made a point about the security, I think 2016 was a time frame which was the best opportunity for this country, because security was ensured with all the sacrifices that I talked about, the finances, the lives. They had gotten rid of it. Our eyes must remain focused even on a small incident in this country. That's not required. And let me assure you, Mustafa and rest of the delegates here, the country's security operators is keeping a full eye on it, and we truly understand where we are located. It's not, there are a lot of eyes on this region. Afghan has been a problem. We didn't ask Russians to invade Afghanistan, but then this war came to us. We don't want any neighbors to be getting into hostilities with us or with anybody else. But then it does happen. And that is where our biggest concern is security. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we were given a phrase during our studies. This is about the security, stability, and prosperity. That's something, a golden three words that we need to remember. You need to get secure, bring the political stability in the country, and only then the country will produce economic results. And let me also share with you, and I'm sure most of you have heard it all these 2-3 days. Everybody said, we know the problem, we know the solution, it is the implementation which has been lacking. And of course, that's what I'm going to dilate a little, that why is an implementation a problem? But then 1997, if you look at the two graphs of the GDP between us, and of course, India has done very well after that, that's where the two graphs cross, and we started to drop down and they went up. But then think of, and we must identify the correct root problems. Today, the world has changed. It's not about the geopolitics, it's all about geoeconomics. And if economics is the key, then the private sector is the one which is supposed to take that responsibility. The government has no business to do business. And I think this statement came up and I picked up from yesterday. And I think Aurangzeb said this, who was the finance minister. Government has no business to do business. It is all about the private sector. And I've been in the military, but then for the last 6 years, when I look at private sector, wow, think completely, there is so much energy, knowledge, wisdom in the private sector. Now is the time, and I'm addressing here the private sector. When these efforts have gone in, and the government has clearly started to say, the finance minister saying that here yesterday, that entire digitization process, and of course, where we're giving subsidies to different organizations, this is not going to happen. Private sector will have the responsibility. Today, you need to develop an ecosystem which must be ready to shoulder this responsibility. Ask yourself, every time going back to the government and asking for subsidies is not something that is permissible, that's not going to be available. What we can do. And here again, we did talk of the red tapeism and of course the bureaucratic delays. And when we talked of implementation part, we all know that is where difficulty comes. And not only in our country, but many other countries. We need to fix it. It's easier said than done. You've heard the ministers say that yesterday, a lot of them, that this is the government's resolve to finish this, but this is a culture. This has to be overcome if we want. Please remember, the dreams are important, and dreams are not the ones that you see while sleeping. Dreams are the ones which keep you awake. And with the dreams, you need to put them in reality. यहाँ पे सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट हिस्सा ये है कि उस ड्रीम को आप रियलिटी में कैसे लेके आते हैं. And of course, that's the leader's job to fix it. And I'm talking of one man who sits at the top, who's the chief executive of the country. And I'll give you an example. And he's the man who's supposed to make sure that his dream comes true. And if his dream has to come true, every segment of that organization is supposed to work to get into that line, get into that direction and do it. And each one of us in this country is supposed to perform his or her own job. That is important. Dreams to reality is one. The second is every challenge will bring an opportunity. And the bigger the challenge is, much bigger is the opportunity. And I'll give you 2 examples, and 2 stories, in fact. Lee Kuan Yew, we all know him, absolutely great leader. Singapore. But few things that I was browsing through last night. This man escaped a Chinese concentration camp, because all of us know the history, I'm not going over it, but the Japanese attacked Singapore, and eventually there was a big massacre of the Chinese, and this guy was there, and he escaped somehow, and the entire camp subsequently was eliminated. He goes out to Cambridge, he studies, he comes back, and he had this burning desire of getting his country back on the line. And I strongly recommend to see a few of his earlier stage videos and then see him when he delivered. But he served Singapore for 31 years. And look at the vision that he had. He translated that into reality because there was a continuation of policies. And that is what we talked about when we were talking of implementation. कैसे आप फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर को इनवाइट कर सकते हैं? अगर आपकी continuation of policies नहीं है, how can you invite someone? So that is the key point that we need to understand. But look at this man. Honestly, I salute his determination. And one of his videos, when the Singapore airline decided to be on strike, the pilots, he takes on this head on. And he says, I have built this country. I will make sure it stays on track. You guys want to strike and go out? Out now. Come back to the job and you have 1 hour. Look at the chief executive of a country. His eye is there on everything. And everybody decided to come back. It's only, ladies and gentlemen, this year that the Singapore airline was not the best and the Qatar Airways took over, but of course Singapore Airlines continues to be the best. It's the leaders' resolve and making sure that every all right, challenges Singapore. What is it, 5 million? Strictly country. The country doesn't have any water to drink. It's an island taken by all the by sea all around, and he develops an ecosystem for the water to be recycled. He makes sure, and of course Malaysia decided not to give them water, and he completely developed a system, and he brought it from here. There were different languages being spoken, and one of his addresses he said, "We can't even sing together. And what kind of nation are we?" And put English into one domain, and you see, industry. They didn't have a single industry when in 1965, then they got independence. Why I'm talking about all? We stand at a much better place, getting an Air Force at 6 or 8 aeroplanes at best, the piston engine in 1947, you develop your own JF-17, you make your own weapons, you do a lot of other good stuff. But look at this country, and they got independence in 1965, 8th August, I believe. And he began industry development. But do you know what is the ease of doing business index for Singapore? Consistently on the World Bank index, they have been on top on ease of doing business. It's only this year they went to number 2. That is the key. How do you really invite the investors to come in, do business, and it has to be a win and win situation. Earning money is good. That is where you bring the prosperity to your people. Earning money is not bad. And this is not true for the foreign investors. This is true for the local investors also. आप पैसे नहीं कमाएंगे, आप टैक्स नहीं देंगे, तो how will the country grow? So the government has a bigger role now to make sure that they do the ease of doing business. And let me give you another static where we are standing at this time at ease of doing business. When we talk of speaking the truth amongst us, we are 108 out of 190 countries in ease of doing business. And what has happened because of your being here and commitments with the government and the stakeholders standing here, and of course we'll follow up with our reports and whatever that we can do in our humble capacity, this is not right. This needs to be fixed. How can we be out there in getting investors who are there in all the circumstances, the Saudis are coming, we have the Egyptian brothers coming, and we have so many others. This has to be sorted out. And when we talk of one window operation, this should actually mean one window operation. You need 37 clearances to start this, though it does not work like that. It has to be that way when you bring everything back to the people. And Singapore is a country where spitting is a crime. Look at where they came from and what they have done. And I think the best thing that you do in your organization, that's my, as an elder again, advice to all the corporate leaders here and even the public sector. What is your succession planning? You'll do well, you'll move out, but then what have you decided? Everybody has to go. And he did not nominate his son to be the prime minister. He put him into a system of politics, and of course, Lee himself won all the elections. People were happy with him. There was employment. There was prosperity. Now, this is the model that we as a country need to follow. All right. I have a lot of friends here who might have heard me a couple of times, and I gave an example. My apologies, I'm going to repeat it. But this is our country's example. ये हमारे मुल्क की example है. अपने मुल्क को भी देख लेना कि हम लोग भी कैसे चीज़ें कर सकते हैं. And I'll try and go very quick on this. You remember when we were into this terrorism spell and there were attacks and everything going on, and one of our air bases got hit by the terrorists. And of course, this was all planned by our enemies. And these terrorists were not nomads. They were the best trained people with all the weaponry and the electronics and the intelligence. And two of our SAB aeroplanes, the AVAX aeroplanes, which are the masterminds, they got hit and very badly damaged. So we had asked SAB, come in, recover the aeroplanes, and they said $375 million, and we will not certify the aeroplanes. And I said, how can you repair an aeroplane still not certify it? And that's where the meeting ended. We had two engineers, put up on the job of recovering the aeroplanes, both PhDs, absolutely star people, and they're still doing a good job, and began the certification agency plan. And they went around the world. Look at the talent that this country has. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1 year, these two boys, group captains, they worked on it, and Pakistan, not PF, Pakistan became the 5th certification agency of the world. We recovered these two aeroplanes. I am here to share exact cost. We spent $25 million, but I'm not here to compare 375 and 25. The best is we got certification at hand. So bigger challenges, bigger opportunities they are. And that is how we moved on. And we said, why can't we make the sophisticated weapons ourselves? And the boys said, yes, why not? We can. So aapke as leadership, aapka kaam hai, you lead from the front, take the people into the field, take them, encourage them. And as leaders, our job is to give them the right environment. That's it. Give a pat on the back, give them the right environment, and they shall deliver. This is my faith. And we went on sophisticated weapons. So while we were doing this to some of the so-called superpowers for the weapons, now we are doing this. Now we are supplying those weapons to rest of the countries. Make it ourselves. What's the big deal? Now, had that not happened, and now I'm sure you're all in the corporate sector, you understand, continuation of regimes, one after another. Of course, the man who took after me, he understood what's going on. And that is what a big lesson that at the political level we need to also understand. Pakistan important है. Government से important नहीं है कि किसके पास government है और किसके कितने वजीर हैं और क्या. So this next man and the next man, and today Pakistan has a complete network of NASTAPs, National Aerospace Technology Parks. From an aviation city, you moved out to the entire country. And what you're doing here is put all the all the technology centers into different cities. So we have our aviation city in Khamra, where we develop fighter jets, we develop weapons, we do rest of the things. But then this has gone out to the public. We may wear uniform, we may not wear uniform. We all Pakistanis. We all need to get in there together. All right. Collaborations. This is, I believe, what we learned from the COVID-19 was not about layoffs. No, COVID-19 was all about developing relationships, all about working in different environments. And collaborations came out as one of the derivatives from that time. Collaborations within the governments, and I'm going to make a very important point here. Should the governments of the two countries look at the business in terms of their political relationship? Don't give me the time slips. Okay. All right. If you're not friendly relations with somebody, why can't you do business with them? I mean, you need to bring prosperity and education to your own people. Now, ये तो शायद बात करना भी हम गुनाह समझते हैं कि बात करेंगे तो कोई पता नहीं क्या हो जाएगा, कुछ नहीं होगा. I mean, you got complete Iran exploring minerals and everything. And if you look at the Google map, you have a line here, Pakistan, and you don't have mineral exploration. I'm not sure about how much minerals do we have, but the least estimated on the net that I saw on the presentations we've had with the mineral ministry, minimum minerals that we have in this country is $6 trillion. And an estimate, the higher side is $36 trillion. Wow. But उस ड्रीम का कोई फायदा नहीं है जिसको आप रियलाइज ना कर सके. So extend your relationships 360. You can resolve your issues. Dialogue. What has Europe done after World War II? They've gone in and the Euro trains running and the Euro currency coming and all this. They didn't want a World War III within the Europe. So I think जब तक इकोनॉमिक स्टेक्स इकट्ठी नहीं होंगी उस वक्त तक स्टेबिलिटी और सिक्योरिटी के भी इश्यूज रहेंगे. सो आई थिंक वी नीड टू एक्चुअली revisit government to government relationship and the business. Government to private sector is something that we really, and again I'm requesting the private sector to look at the ecosystem that you have. The government has now become willing to move and shoulder that responsibility on you. If that be the case, are you ready? आप इस मुल्क से पढ़ने बाहर गए थे. You spent this country's money when you studied in the Harvards and MITs and everybody. You come back. But then convert this complete capacity out to the public sector. Public sector is too busy doing a lot of things on the policy formulation, so many things. It has to go hands in gloves. The public sector, the private sector, if we really want to bring prosperity and happiness to this country, inshallah. Academia industry, we had a discussion here and I have my own viewpoint on this. Academia says it's the industry's responsibility and industry says it's the academia responsibility and HSC issues some instructions to do this. Sorry. It is the industry who should understand that the graduates who come out, they're going to be utilized by you. Saying, no, they're no good, does not solve the problem. It's you who will have to take step forward. You have to be on the university boards, which I think we're making efforts to put, and you have to actually decide the curriculums, what these guys are going to. And my advice is, they're not reading the curriculum. They should not be reading the curriculums of today. They should be reading the curriculums of tomorrow. And I think a very good comment came on. A very good comment came on that these technology guys, they really, with us elderly people, they really play havoc with our minds. And today somebody said the softwares will not be the required thing in some times to come. And I was wondering, how could that happen? But then we're talking of artificial intelligence, we're talking of accelerated artificial intelligence. And what we need to, last one or two points, we all fail to understand the next generation. And we have to. अगर हम नहीं समझेंगे अपने नेक्स्ट जनरेशन को तो हम उनको कैसे परवरिश देंगे, हमको कैसे समझेंगे. यू आस्क मी टाइम एंड आई से इट इज़ 14:10, but you ask your son, he'll look at the mobile and he'll say 14:11. It's not a small point. My son working in IBM, we're returning 12 o'clock night in a Bermuda. And I said, where are you coming from? And he said, I'm coming from office. And I said, you went to office in this dress? I said, Dad, does it impact my work? I cannot understand. And these two examples are, they think totally differently. And we have to adopt, we don't have to force them to do this. So last few points, because Rabi is standing here all the way. Sorry. Okay. So we need to do our homeworks right. When we went into climate change and all those things, we have to understand what are the regulatory requirements. We need to do a lot of hard work to make sure the cases we take, there is so much of funding on this, we can't even imagine. Zero tolerance for corruption. And corruption is not only financial. If somebody is incompetent, he can't perform his job, no nepotism, nothing, get them out. Agri and technology are the keys, and we have the controls, we need to handle that. And last but not the least, empower women. We are at a tragically low, we are tragically low at 20%. Our rural area is fantastic. We work in the rural areas, they're so energetic, they really want to embrace. So ये हमारी duty है कि we need to take education to them and we need to train them. I'm sure about Pakistan's future. There are no two ways. We shall succeed, inshallah. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Sir Sohail. I was gathering the courage to empower myself to come and request you. So was Aneza. Thank you very much, sir. I think your pride as a soldier and your pride on being Pakistani is what all of us are taking home from this.